Morning, kids. This is the update for the week for The Great Gatsby. We'll be looking at pages 5, bottom of 5 to the top of 11. And then next week I'll be giving you, well, today, an assignment from 11 to 21. It's getting a little easier now because we know the story and it's getting a little bit more into the actual story of it as opposed to the setup. So today, in this short video, I'm going to go over sort of a summary of it. And I want to encourage you to know, I want you to know that you have to do your homework prior to these videos coming out. So then anytime the video comes out, then it's late and I've sort of done the work for you. So you got to work through and do the annotations ahead of time. Get those in before midnight, and then midnight on whatever Tuesday, and then when I set it up on the Wednesdays, you'll be good to go. All right, so here we go. Some of my notes. Starting on page 5. This is really cool. Nick rents this house. It's $80 a month, and it's outside of the city, which is still in New York, but it's on Long Island. He has an actual maid, and she's from Finland, and he did have a roommate, but the guy they worked together, and in the last minute this guy was sent off to work in the Washington office, so it wasn't in the state anymore. So Nick decided to keep the house on his own. Now, $80 back in 1922, that's going to be a lot more than the $80 today. So we'll have a question later. You can try to figure that out. But anyway, great living for somebody who just graduated from college. And he had a house right on the beach, and can't beat that. A maid, whatever. It's great. It does say it's a cardboard house, but it's not. It's just basically, he's trying to say it's like a box. All right. Further, Nick, he goes out and he buys his set of finance books, and he's pretty excited. It's like a fresh start for him. He's going to go out. He's going to learn the bond business, and then, excuse me, he's going to, feel like he's getting a fresh start. He's also going to be reading all these other books. He's got these big plans for self-improvement over the summer, which is great. It's like when all of us are stuck on quarantine and we get those all weight sets all out and start pumping some iron for a couple of days, and then realize that, it's not as easy as it looks. Anyway, but Nick's pretty lonely at this point because he loses his dog, and then something happens that allows him to feel like he's part of the community. So that's pretty cool. I'm not gonna give that away because that's in one of the questions later. Nick, let me just see. I like to put my notes down on a piece of paper first, but Nick lives on a piece of land called West Egg, and there's 2 pieces of land named Eggs, and one's West Egg and one's East Egg. So West Egg is closer to the city, New York City, and East Egg is closer to the ocean, I guess you could say, but further away from land. And Nick says that from the air, if you're like a bird, they look exactly the same. You can't tell the difference. But if you are a person and you're living on land, then he says the 2 eggs are quite a bit different in the living of them. Throughout the story, think that there's a lot of similarities, and don't really know why he mentions this part, but he does talk about it a little bit on this page, the differences. So anyway, Nick goes over by page 8. We get all the way over to East Egg, and Nick actually has a family member that lives there. His second cousin, once removed. Her name is Daisy. If you look on a Google family tree and look at your second cousin once removed, like, you could go your whole life and never have met that person. But in fact, I mean, you could legally marry them. But anyway, Nick went to school with his second cousin once removed's husband, and the husband's name is Tom. So it's Daisy and Tom, and their last name is Buchanan, and they are very, very rich. A lot of money. Okay, so they live in this huge property. And now I skipped the part, but Nick lives next to this guy Gatsby. We already know that. And Gatsby has a lawn that's 40 acres. 40 acres of lawn, cut grass. Now Keefe Tech sits on top of 25 acres. The entire property of Keefe Tech is 25 acres. So you could almost double that, and you'd have Gatsby's lawn. Pretty crazy. So anyway, now back to East Egg with Tom and Daisy. They have this huge property that goes a quarter mile. Their grass goes a quarter mile from the ocean all the way up to their house, and then it kind of goes up the house because it has the vines that go in the house. I forget what it's called, but anyway, so they have this massively huge lawn too, and I would say that a quarter mile is probably a little more than 40 acres, but anyway, they own the house, and Gatsby rents the house like Nick does, but for a lot different price. So anyway, they go on, and Nick describes Tom as a guy who's looking for past glory. Sorry, looking to live past glory. He was a big time football player in college, and he's just this big hulking brute of a man, and much like myself, but maybe even a little bigger than me. I don't know, but anyway, so Nick says Tom hasn't changed since college. He's kind of arrogant, kind of a jerk. Well, I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but he is, and I did. Sorry. Anyway, they have this huge house, and Nick goes over to have dinner with them. So it's a nice huge dinner, and at the top of page 11, Nick has went into the house, and it's just beautiful, and they come out to this room that has these huge windows. They're called they have French doors. You could call them French windows, but anyway, they open up, and there's no screen because they open up to the outside, and they have these huge drapes that fly, because of the wind flying around. And there's two women there. One is Daisy, and one is Jordan Baker, and they are both dressed in white, and they look like they're sort of floating down to the couch too. So that's the summary from my perspective, which is not perfect, of course, but it's right. So take it for what it's worth. Now, you have a reading assignment on there, and on Monday I will give you, actually, I think it's four. I put four questions together from Gatsby from this week's reading. So on Monday you'll get 4 questions that kind of review and make you think of some of what we already read. And then today, literally, in the next, not that you care, but by the time you're watching this video, you'll have the assignment for the reading. So it's 10 pages. That's about a page and a half a day. But it's really important that you're annotating. And annotating means you're putting down important details. Essentially, you're summarizing what's going on, right? This video was a little bit longer, but I want to make sure we're all on the same track on Gatsby. All right. Bye, guys. Stay healthy.